Yeah, I know. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I know we had a, is this everybody? I think there were teams outside. Okay. Okay, let's see. Make sure that Rick has the high five to start this afternoon. How's everybody doing? Okay, let's try that one more time. I need a little bit more enthusiasm. How's everybody doing? Yes! That is what I like to see and hear. So our next little session is going to be is Bright Spots. And we call it this because I know that all of you have all these ideas. The last 2 days have been amazing, like all the speakers and the workshops and learning from each other. And I like to think about this as like we're all bright spots, but what we need to do is connect those into constellations. And then we can connect those into galaxies. So this idea of like, you are all your own bright spots, but then also finding ways to connect to each other. And if no one is following the James Webb thing, anybody follow James Webb, the new yeah, you should go check out these images. These are incredible. This is like from space, you guys. This is incredible. Anyway, so sidebar. But I really wanted to emphasize some of the amazing projects and stuff that are happening, not just from our current groups that are here right now today, but also some of the previous teams that have been to the Youth Climate Summit and from other summits around the country. So I'm going to highlight a few of those things. We got some cool stuff to share with you, so you can have inspiration going into the climate action planning session of thinking about, again, and you've heard us say this a number of times, what are things that you love? What brings you joy? What are the skills and strengths that you have? And what is the work that needs doing? So these projects all came from that center place, that intersection of all of those ideas. So I want to do a shout out to Homer. Aaron, come on up. Let's give Aaron a round of applause. Woohoo, Homer. That's bringing it up. You guys are getting it. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm from Homer High School. I'm Homer High School's environmental club president. And we've really done a lot of cool things over the years, especially since before I was even in high school. We've had a really strong environmental club program, and it's been, we've had great support from our administrators. But really, when the pandemic hit a few years ago, as I'm sure happened with a lot of your environmental clubs and other organizations relating to the climate, we took a really big hit in terms of participation, and it was really hard for us to continue our projects and really get things going again. So I just wanted to highlight some of the things that we've been able to do despite the pandemic and despite our setbacks. So a couple years ago, we started a recycling program, a TerraCycle program, for used writing utensils. So pens, markers, highlighters, really anything. Throughout the school, we go around and we collect each marker, pens, pencils, and highlighters. We have cans in each room, and we go around and we collect those, and we put them in a big TerraCycle box, and we're going to ship that out once the TerraCycle box is full, and we're going to get another one. So we've really started that writing utensil collection program, and that's been really awesome. And then our biggest project from recently, which is really exciting, and we've been trying to get this going for a couple of years now, is our outdoor classroom. So we're finally getting an outdoor classroom constructed at our school, and one of the big hurdles for that was getting the funding down and getting all of the money that we needed to build it. And during the pandemic, all of the prices went up, so that increased our estimate. But through some help from the Wild Center, we were able to apply for some grants, and we were able to do a very successful letter writing campaign. And we finally raised enough money to build our outdoor classroom. So that is currently under construction right now. Yeah.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you so much.
All right, Homer, thank you. Okay, Sackett's Harbor. Is Olivia in the house? Oh, good. Olivia, come on up. Let's give it up for Olivia.
Okay, so hi, I'm Olivia Derwin, a junior at Sackett's Harbor Central High School, and that is right on Lake Ontario, if you didn't know. So currently I am a ambassador in Girl Scouts, which is the highest, like the highest spot you can be in. And basically, I am working on my Gold Award, which consists of 80 hours of community service that not only connects to a local issue, but to a global issue. And so basically, I'm working on waste management and pollution within my school, such as implementing a compost system, working on getting new recycling bins and stuff like that, and starting up our greenhouse again. So basically, I'm working on waste management and pollution because it's something I was grown up doing because my mom, she's had composting in our backyard, and my parents always taught me how to recycle and everything. Like, everything in our house is recycled. We have stuff for jars, cardboard, paper, and all that. And so basically I want to work on not just only bringing it from my house, but to the community around me, such as my school. And for my project, I also have to connect to other communities, so I'm bringing it to other schools. And yeah, that's basically it.
That's awesome. Thanks, Olivia. Thanks, Olivia. That's awesome. Here are a few other bright spots from past years, all sorts of different things. Everything from doing a carbon and energy audit in their school to replacing old light bulbs with LED, and then went on to replace all the bulbs in the street lights in your town. Many schools have done growing food, building a garden, a greenhouse for the family, neighborhood, or school, and help feed people who are food insecure. So just another, because Homer, shout out to Homer, pre-pandemic had a school garden and then helped to donate that food to the food bank in town. Install a solar powered charging station in your school. We've had a number of schools that have done that in the past. Hold a carbon neutral prom. That's a shout out to Saranac Lake teams past. A clothing swap, mending day, upcycled fashion show. Community events are a big one. So either in your school, hosting like a mini summit in your school, or doing one for your community. And that's been one that's happened in a number of different places. Building a nature trail or outdoor classroom, we just heard about that. Participating in community or citizen science projects. We had Cornell here. We also had Adirondack Watershed Institute and the Finger Lakes Institute talking about sort of the science of like tracking science, and those are things that could be that you could do or work on. There's a lot of things related to sharing and communicating about climate change. We've had a lot of workshops about this in the last couple of days, but thinking about if you're more in the sort of mindset of blogs or stories or social media or photos or videos, and we're going to see a video in just a moment about solutions, sharing that with others. Creating no-mow zones or a pollinator project, doing a BioBlitz, which is another science-based project to sample all the critters in your area, and then track those over time to see what impacts are happening. And also connecting with organizations and people. Many of you, it was so fun to see everybody in Solutions today meeting with community organizations. And while many of those are local here to the Adirondack region, right here in the Tri-Lakes and beyond, in your own communities, there's just as many organizations, and you just want to reach out to find them. So thinking about all of those things. We've had other ones. These are just, again examples. Upcycled dressmaking. That's at an old tinfoil, which was kind of cool, and a water bottle refilling station. Oh, yeah, and here's a video I wanted to share with you from, this is a Lake Placid student from a few years back.
on the track now.
I'm Miles Lucy and I support climate action.
Yes, Miles. And yes, he went off the 90-meter ski jump twice to film that. Okay, so a couple other ones. Many of you saw the composter, and which is awesome. So starting the composting business. And then is Ellen in the house or is she gone? She's gone. Okay, so many of you have also heard about or maybe attended the Climate Smart Community Workshop. I want to do a shout out to Lake Placid for helping their community, working again with connecting students and municipal leaders. And getting a bronze level certification for the state. So that's amazing. Let's give them a round of applause. Incredible. We have another, I think, really short video that I want to share that again illustrates the connection between municipal leaders and young people. So Homer, you're in this, and I think Sarah Nicolai, you might be.
It's okay to be scared because this is a scary topic, but it's good to turn that fear into motivation to go out and do your very best.
I think youth bring a certain level of passion. It's really our future that we're dealing with here.
Youth can be great assets to their local communities. I think many young people in New York City are very concerned about the impacts that they're seeing related to climate change. And now, thanks to the skill sets that they gain at the Wild Center's Youth Climate Summits, and now thanks to the New York State Climate Smart Communities program, they have a pathway to collaborate with their local leaders and actually work together to make climate solutions in their rural communities.
So what we're finding from our work at NOAA in partnership with the Wild Center and a consortium of other organizations is that youth are playing a critical role in developing community resilience. They are engaging their leaders, they're building more capacity in those communities to actually do the heavy lifting of, say, vulnerability assessments or greenhouse gas assessments.
Here at the Wild Center, we work with a lot of young people that are really passionate about climate change, and they want to do something about it in their schools and communities. Every year at our Youth Climate Summit, we invite the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Office of Climate Change to come and present about their Climate Smart Communities program.
Most of the audience that we focus on through the Climate Smart Communities program is local government officials, staff, planners, people like that. So initially I wasn't quite sure what role young people would sort of play. And I would say the Village of Homer is especially a unique case where the mayor happily, gladly, I think as he put it, sort of gave the reins over to high school students to start a climate smart task force.
After attending the Wild Center Summit, we were really inspired to make a difference in our community. And one way we saw to do that was the Climate Smart Communities program. And so when we saw that the village was registered and saw that they had passed a resolution along the lines that the program suggested, we looked up the email for our mayor and just sent him an email.
So we decided to go outside of our school sphere and move into the community. And we thought our local government would be a great place to start. They have all the resources.
So it ended up being a perfect partnership between us because we as students have free time to devote to something like that. And the village board and the mayor had the experience to guide us through the process. One of the things that we've learned from the Wild Center is that climate change is a global problem, and we will all feel its effect. Even the small village of Homer, New York can make an impact in this global problem, and I think the really exciting thing is if we could encourage other municipalities across the state to do the same thing.
I mean, there's a great saying, think globally, act locally.
Woo!
It's okay to be scared because this is a scary topic.
Thanks, Eleni. Thank God you're here. Okay, a few other things to share. Just these are from a couple of the other schools, or a couple of the summit sites across the country. This is the Bay Area Youth Climate Summit. Hosted a clothing swap. They also hosted a workshop for students on the past, present, and future of wildfires, because that's a big climate impact in their area. We also have here the Youth Environmental Action Summit down in Maryland. One of the things that they did was a big beach cleanup. They also worked to install a rain garden to help with flooding that happens in that particular community. Down in New York City with the RISC project, which is the Resilient Schools Consortium, young people have been looking at sea level rise out where Hurricane Sandy hit in the Far Rockaways, and they actually helped with a dune planting, planting seagrass to help with erosion, and they installed an art installation on the beach demonstrating the projected sea level rise to build awareness across their community. We've also had incredible young people, and you've heard a little bit about sort of the policy work of hosting opportunities and dialogues and conversations with elected leaders to help push climate change education across the state of New York and try to get more of that in schools. And we've seen young people head off to global climate conferences, like what's happening right now in Egypt, the United Nations COP27. We had a delegation there last year from the Wild Center with some incredible young leaders. And we have a young person there right now who's on our youth advisory board, Caroline Dodd from Saranac Lake, a youth climate alumni who wanted to wave and say hi. It's actually I don't know, 1 a.m. there or something. So it was a little awkward to zoom in, but she really wanted to make sure that she's there representing all of you on an international scale. So no matter where your passion lies, wherever in the strengths that you have, you can find your place in the climate movement. And now we're going to invite you to do that through our climate action planning thing. Are we doing prizes first? Let's do it after. We're going to do it after. Perfect. So please welcome Bella and Brian.
Hi everyone, I'm Bella. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm from Northwood School.
Hi everyone, my name is Brian. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm from Northwood School as well.
We're here today to walk you through the process of designing your own climate action plan for your school to take action in your community. This is one of the most important workshops of the summit because it focuses on how you're going to take action to address climate change. We all came here today to learn how to take action. Can I get a show of hands of someone who's made a climate action plan before? Okay, a few of you.
All right, so before we get started, let's go through the agenda quickly.
Cool. Oh, yes.
So we're going to do an introduction, and then after this, you will be making your climate action plan. Next, you'll have time to brainstorm and plan with your team. Everyone will come back in here for the share out, and we'll discuss some useful resources and next step for your plans.
Cool.
So this is a climate action plan. A climate action plan is a tool created by the Youth Climate Program at the Wild Center to help you create a plan to go back into your community and to start implementing climate solutions within your school. So there's a lot of broad topics. It's kind of hard to see up there, but really whatever you want to create, we can create a plan relating to that, and then we can create specific goals towards that to help you really get it very dialed in and very specific. As you listen to these amazing speakers, maybe something moved or inspired you. That certainly happened to me. And after this, you'll be heading into your planning workshop, so hopefully that will give you even more ideas. But Bella and I are here today to help you gain the tools and skills you'll need to turn your ideas into action.
Cool. So through the pandemic, it's been pretty hard to take action and work with others. So just like Jen did, we have a few examples of climate action plans that have been implemented in the local communities. So often, first-time climate action plans will focus on changes within their school communities and dealing with issues they see regularly, like implementing better recycling practices in their school and eliminating plastic silverware in the cafeterias. Or installing things like refillable water bottles at your school. Cool. So something we've experienced is that schools come to summits multiple times and form a strong green team. They extend their visions to their communities. Here's a student from Saranac Lake. If you guys were at the Climate Action planning workshop, you probably met Cedar virtually. And she's from Saranac Lake, who helped the village government achieve their certification, their Brown certification, through the Climate Smart Communities program. And just a reminder that you don't need to start from scratch and work all by yourself to take climate action. You can make incredible change by collaborating with people who are already doing work in your community. So we saw this example already with Ellen and Astrid's composting program. And then this is Brian and I. We started this project last year. We created a compost system at our school at Northwood, which is a boarding school, so we create a lot of food waste because we have 3 meals a day. And from there, we entered and we were interviewed for a challenge put on Chipotle x Earth Force. And we ended up winning top 15 projects in the nation and earning our environmental club over $3,000.
So the first step is to brainstorm. So during this workshop, you and your school team are going to be creating a climate action plan for your school or community. This project will be all yours. You will design, brainstorm, and make your project happen from the ground up. We're going to walk you through the process before you break up into school teams to create your plan. You're going to start your planning by thinking about your school, what environmental problems, what resources are available to assist you with your projects, and what your team is passionate about. Some students find it helpful to make a map or a list of problems, resources, and potential solutions. Use your list or map to match up the problems with solutions and passions that address the problem. This can help you narrow down your project options and select a project idea that you have a good chance of completing successfully. There's so many different areas as we see up here, but really just find whatever seems useful to you and what interests you in implementing climate solutions. So topic areas such as energy use, transportation, food systems, community outreach, waste management, and policy all play a role in school functions, and that means you can influence these issues. What topic areas match up with the problems, solutions, and passions you identified during the brainstorming session?
Cool. So we're going to be talking about SMARTY goals next. It's a way to keep your projects realistic. So we can keep going. So SMARTY stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound, inclusive, and equitable. So we're going to be thinking big picture. Specific and measurable. It is important that your goal is specific so you can measure how well you achieved it. If the goal is too vague, it's harder to measure your success. An example of a specific goal for the carbon neutral prom was making at least 2 signs for publicity. That's a goal that's both specific and easily measured. Goals that are specific and measurable also make it easier to break up the project into individual assignments. That's okay. Achievable and realistic. While stopping all fossil fuel consumption in the United States is a super cool goal, it might not be the most achievable for your first climate action plan. Try to think about a scale on what areas as students we can influence the most. If you don't have a goal that's achievable, it's easy to lose momentum or feel demoralized. For the carbon neutral prom, the goal of fundraising money just to offset the CO2 emission prom was extremely achievable. Time-bound. Having goals that are set to specific deadlines are extremely important so you can constantly evaluate if you're on track to meet the goal. It also keeps the finish line in reach. Be sure to have aspects of your climate action plan that you can successfully complete in 1 school year. You may have high aspirations, and you are encouraged to make long-term goals up to 5 years within the climate action plan worksheet, which you saw on the first slide, but the initial goal should be something with a timeline shorter than 1 school year. Inclusive. It's essential that our goals work towards inclusivity. They should bring traditionally marginalized people, particularly those most impacted by climate change, into processes, activities, decision, policymaking in a way that shares power as much as possible. And equitable. Equity must be an integral aspect of the climate action plan process. Goals should include seeking to address systematic injustice, inequity, and/or oppression.
You need to think about, too, who will be involved and who will make this project happen. So usually your plan will not be possible without help from outside of your environmental club. A lot of climate projects involve changing the way people do things as a whole or how whole systems work. Just changing within the club will not have a big enough effect. Use this part of the planning process to think about people or organizations that should be involved to make your project a success. In general, if you're doing an event in your school, it's good to let your administrators know. Sometimes they can provide resources or contacts you didn't originally think of. For the carbon neutral prom, the students needed other students on the prom planning committee, experts, and faculty to participate. Additionally, partnering with groups outside of your school is a good way to maintain accountability.
Cool. Short-term goals are usually used to keep your team focused and on track to see your project through completion. Long-term goals can help your project grow in the future, even after you graduate. Sometimes long-term goals can help you think about what might change for future students as a result of your project. For Carbon Neutral Prom, students had a goal of repeating the project every year.
For resources, students often run into financial or time management barriers. Planning these costs or materials now will help you prepare and prevent any surprise costs from slowing you down in the future. If you need supplies for your project, think about how you could get those donated instead of raising money to purchase supplies. How can you thank and appreciate businesses or groups that gave you a donation of either time, or money, or supplies? For the Carbon Neutral Prom, students needed a certain amount of money to buy the offsets, which they fundraised in partnership with a local solar company. They also needed poster materials and time to research the prom's carbon footprint.
Sweet. Many successful teams start off their climate action plan project by answering this question: what would success look like for this project? Take some time in your planning process to ask yourself this question. Your definition of success might change as you work on the project, but remember to revisit the question, what would success look like? At least once a month. This helps evaluate what is working and what isn't. Once again, SMART goals are incredibly important. And if you've done a good job making your goals specific and measurable, the monitoring of your success is easy. For example, if you said you wanted to improve recycling in the classrooms by presenting to all students during homeroom, and you said you would check the recycling bins once a week to count the number of items being recycled, you said it would present to 5 classrooms a month. For every month of the fall semester, measuring success becomes much easier. With any project, there's always something you can measure. From water usage in an outlet, to responses to a survey, to number of vegetables growing in your garden, to the number of attendees in an event. Measurable items are easy to understand than just saying something was good or bad. Once you have a set of specific and measurable goals, assign them to individual people. When the time comes to monitor success, and whatever timeline that is consistent for you, check in on one another to see how you're doing. It should not be one person's job to check in with everyone else. Teamwork makes the dream work. Whenever you start a meeting, it is always helpful to have each member share their progress or take some time to ask for help.
Communication is super important and will make your project more fun. Just because you are the ones that came up with your project doesn't mean you don't have to be the only ones executing it. Try to involve more people by showing them how easily your project can fit into and impact their life. Think about all the different strategies for spreading the word around your project, such as social media, posters, newsletters, newspapers, radio, etc. Be creative. Also, try and set a communication goal for each group of people that you marked on the Who Will Help Make This Happen checklist from slide 5. How often should they be updated? What do they need to know? And what should you ask them?
Cool. So if everyone wants to take out their phones, they can scan the QR code and write what climate change issues? Cool, we can try it. Just for funsies, I guess. Well, they gotta scan the QR code.
Yeah, but like the Padlet will show up. So click on that, open that. I'll work this in.
We'll connect it.
No, we can leave it in. Really good.
Okay, cool. Alrighty, we're gonna go back to our presentation. We can talk more about this later.
But it is very important to include climate justice issues in your plans. That's why it's they're SMARTY goals, so they need to be equitable and inclusive, and you should center marginalized groups in your decision-making processes.
Cool. So we just wanted to reiterate that if the past few years with the pandemic has looked like this, that is no worries. It's kind of looked like this for everybody. If the way you engage with climate action is different now than before the pandemic, that is okay. We've all been through so much stress, change, and worry. Whatever you're doing now is exactly perfect, and you are making change with your actions.
Does anyone have any questions?
Cool. Alrighty. So we have all the Youth Climate social media, Brian and I's Instagram and email if you have any questions about climate action plans. And
Yeah, make sure to follow the Wild Center on social media too to stay updated with everything that they're doing.
Yeah.
And after the summit, make sure to stay in touch too with the Wild Center to see what resources and support they can provide for you and to help you implement your climate action plan. See the Climate Action Plan Facilitator Guide for ideas and options for what follow-up support could look like for teachers based on capacity.
Cool. We're excited to hear you guys in the share out your climate action plans.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
A little too far.
Yay, thank you, Brian and Bella. Okay, so we are going to head out back to our tables, and with your groups, you're going to start working on your climate action plan. So every table is going to have a big sticky note to write on. You're going to have markers, and you have examples of the actual climate action plan document for you to write on. So we have almost an hour to go work. I encourage you to get right to it. We'll be floating around if anybody has questions. And before you leave, one important thing, we are going to do a speed round share out. Of what our ideas are when we come back. So each team has to delegate someone who is going to be willing to come up and share your idea. So just keep that in mind as you start writing. All right, go ahead. I don't. I'm sorry.